Just days away, we can almost count it by the hours. Alabama taking on Notre Dame at the Rose Bowl, this time at AT&T Stadium. Of course, more importantly, it's a college football playoff game with the Tide and the Irish. We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama on the line to help us break it down. Stephen, Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and it's good to hear from you. Appreciate you stopping by. How is everything?
Everything's good, Mark. Enjoyed the Christmas holiday season. For me, it's always interesting because my sister's birthday is 2 days after Christmas. So you got the Christmas holiday and then my sister's birthday. It was all great fun, though. And like you mentioned, college football playoff semifinal, the Rose Bowl, typically in Pasadena, California, but due to the COVID situation, they've moved it down to Arlington, Texas, but it's still a matchup between two story-filled programs when you talk Alabama and Notre Dame.
All right, let's get to the news of the day. First and foremost, that Devonta Smith has been named the Associated Press College Football Player of the Year, which many years is a precursor to the Heisman Trophy. Your thoughts about Devonta Smith? And certainly my thought here is that most of the year we concentrated on quarterbacks, whether that was Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and more recently Mac Jones and Kyle Trask concerning the Heisman. But there seems to have been a very late season push in Devonta Smith's corner for the Heisman Trophy.
And Mark, this young man needs to get a massive trophy case ready. That's how many awards we're talking about for Smitty, and not just the AP Player of the Year, but the CBS Sports Player of the Year, the SEC's Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, Devonta Smith has had an incredible season, but also an incredible career. And Mark, for me, it always goes back to his freshman year, or before the freshman year started for him in 2017. I was out there, with the team during the open practice back in August. And I remember a conversation that I had with one Cam Sims at wide receiver. And in speaking with Cam Sims, I basically asked him, I said, Cam, if Calvin Ridley is not available on a play, who do you trust to catch the football? Who do you trust to make plays? And there were so many guys that walked by Cam Sims on that day back in 2017, whether it was Jerry Jeudy that walked by him, or Henry Ruggs, or Robert Foster. And, Cam took me by my hand and led me to the opposite side of the field and told me that day, Devonta Smith is no joke. He is nothing to play around with. This is the guy right here. And I looked at Cam as if to say, are you crazy? This guy is soaking wet my size. It can't be this guy. And Cam Sims said, Stephen, you mark my words right now. Devonta Smith, Tay-Tay, nobody's messing with Tay-Tay. And from that moment, Mark, Cam Sims has never steered me wrong, because Tay-Tay has grown from 2nd and 26 to, my goodness, being the greatest receiver to ever play at this program, to arguably be the best player in college football this season, and a guy that, as great of a season that Mac Jones has had, and it's been remarkable what Mac has been able to do, but to have a player like Devonta Smith come back and say, I want to play with Mac Jones, that says a lot about that young man, because he has made Mac's job a whole lot easier, a whole lot simpler, and a whole lot better when you talk about a wide receiver that wanted to play with his quarterback, and the connection and the chemistry that Mac and Smitty have together. And just to hear Coach Saban talk about, this is the most selfless, the most leadership player, the most dependable guy. Anything the team wants, Smitty is down to make it happen. He was named a permanent team captain for a reason. Smitty is just the ultimate ambassador right now. College football.
What a tremendous story there, in addition to the description that adds much more context to the stats that are overwhelming for Devonta Smith. Let's stay at the same position group, because there's much talk concerning Jaylen Waddle's return for the Notre Dame game. 25 receptions, and eye-popping, and this gets me every time, close to 23 yards per catch in the SEC. All SEC games, 23 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns for Jaylen Waddle. Your thoughts about his return and what you know at this point?
He's been doing quite a few things here, Mark. Now, of course, Nick Saban, he's going to go the whole gamesmanship route. He's not going to tell you what Waddle's been doing. And we've come to expect that from Nick Saban. Wants to keep all of his cards to his end of the table. But talking to credible sources I know within the program, Waddle's been doing a little bit of everything right now, trying to position himself to be back for this game, for this college football playoff, whether it's in his rehab, whether it's been running on his own, whether it's been doing little different things after practice. So Waddle is trying to put himself in the best possible position to play in this game. We know he made the trip to the SEC title game. He didn't play in the game, but because he made the trip to the game, did not have the walking boot on his right leg, says a whole lot about his push, about his rehab, and the things he's been able to do. So we shall see. But from right now, what I've been gathering, Mark, he has made a real true push to be on this field and try to give it a go.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis right here. That's our aim. That's our goal. That's our mission every day, 24/7, 365. Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama on the line with us as he joins us on a regular basis to break down the Tide. Of course, another college football playoff appearance for the Tide, taking on Notre Dame. Steve Sarkisian, as we stay on the award route, I don't know that he's won the award. I saw some conflicting reports. Is he just a finalist for the Frank Broyles Award, or did he actually win it?
He actually won it. Okay. I know the Frank and Barbara Broyles Foundation, they put out an announcement saying that Steve Sarkisian did win the award. So Sarkisian becomes the third assistant coach of the Nick Saban era to get the Broyles Award, which goes to the top assistant coach in college football. He joins Kirby Smart, who won it in 2009 as a defensive coordinator. And he joins Michael Locksley, who won in 2018 as an offensive coordinator. And you just can't say enough good things about Sark and how his life, personal life and professional life have just come, full circle. And a guy that Coach Saban extended that olive branch to come back to Alabama in 2019 after he spent 2 years in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons as an OC. He was at Alabama in 2016 as an offensive analyst. He was put a little bit too quickly into that offensive coordinator chair for the national championship game against Clemson. Not quite ready for that moment, but was put in that moment nonetheless. But since his return, Mark, you talk about somebody that has thoroughly embraced Nick Saban, somebody who cherishes relationship with head coach Nick Saban, and a guy that, with this offense, the way he has schemed and strategized and put things together now, it does help to have a litany of talented players at your disposal. But what he has done offensively, Alabama averaging 47.9 points per game. That's the most of the Saban era. It's putting up 543.9 yards offensively. That's the most of the Saban era. When you talk about this team scoring at least 40 points a game in 10 straight games, including 2 60-point contest finishes against Ole Miss and Kentucky. I mean, Steve Sarkisian he had 3 players finish in the top 5 of the Heisman finalist voting. When you look at, Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, and Najee Harris, Smitty, and Jones battling here for the Heisman as the top 2 of the top 4 finalists. So for Sark to see his entire career come full circle, the love he has for this program, the love he has for Coach Saban and this team and this organization, you cannot say enough about how he has come in. He has put his head down, went to work, and he has reaped the benefits for all of his labor. Sark, one of the good guys, you got to be happy for it.
Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, breaking down Alabama taking on Notre Dame. Of course, the first of the 2 semifinal matchups, this one from AT&T Stadium, the site of the Rose Bowl this year in the college football playoff. Of course, I'm going to go to the trenches, Stephen, on both sides of the ball for Alabama. A few notes here. The pass rush has improved remarkably over the last portion of the season. Here I see where the team's got 18 sacks in the final 3 contests. Will Anderson has been a menace. Christian Barmore also wreaking havoc. Your thoughts about the pass rush and also the status of defensive end LaBryan Ray?
Well, the pass rush, Mark, you got to give a lot of credit to Pete Golding. I know there are moments where people look at Coach Golding and go, is this job at Alabama way over his head and things of that nature? But Coach Golding has actually done a solid job of simplifying the game plan, not having the players think as much. They can just get after the football and create negative plays. That's exactly what they've done. And you bring up Will Anderson, leading the SEC in sacks with 7 to his own credit. And this is a young man that, once again, did not have spring football because of COVID, did not have a typical summer program, did not have a typical fall camp. He had to teach himself a lot of things, on Zoom with Coach Golding helping him out. But you look at what this young man has done since the Iron Bowl, getting his first career sack. He has averaged at least 2 sacks per game in the last 3 to 4 matchups. He has been incredible, on the edge, not just as a pass rusher, but as a true edge setter. Then you go from him to Christian Barmore, who's got 6 sacks this year. He has been phenomenal. And a guy that not a lot of people talk about, Christopher Allen. Here's a young man that came in that 2017 signing class as a 4-star from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's battled so many injuries, but Mark, he is finally healthy. He's finally back on the field at full strength. And my gracious, the year that Chris Allen has had, 12 tackles for loss to lead the team, 6 sacks for him on the year. So he's been at it as well. So just being able to simplify the game plan, not allowing the players to think as much, just react to the play, get after the quarterback, fly around the field, play with passion, play with fire, have fun with it. You got to give Coach Golding credit in that regard. But in terms of LaBryan Ray, still kind of battling that elbow issue here, Mark, that he suffered the week of the Georgia game, going back to that 4th week there of Alabama season. He has not played much this year since sustaining that injury. Coach Saban talked about it. He's been rehabbing from it. He has not been able to practice as much at all. And I hate it for that young man because he came in 2017 as a 5-star from James Clemens High School out of Madison, Alabama, but has just not really been able to be really, truly healthy. So hopefully he can rehab his way back from that elbow injury as soon as he possibly can. But as of right now, LaBryan Ray has not been able to do much, just geared back towards still sustaining some discomfort there from an elbow issue he suffered prior to the Georgia game.
LaBryan Ray, with a full season and a solid season in 2018, has only been able to suit up for 7 games for the Tide the past 2 seasons. We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama on the line to break down the Tide and the Irish. And for as much as we talk about pass rush and the improved play in getting to the quarterback, as you well know, it's about containing Ian Book as well. And then I've seen some tweets come out from you and from others in reviewing some of the news conferences and the rhetoric coming from the Notre Dame camp that this is going to be a grown man football game, and they want to take that imposing offensive line and impose their will in the running game on Bama.
Absolutely. I mean, Mark, this entire week of media viewing, whether it's been head coach Brian Kelly or offensive coordinator Tommy Rees of the Irish. Remember, Rees was the quarterback for that 2012 Irish team that got to the 2013 BCS title game in Miami that suffered that, brutal loss to Alabama by the score of 42-14. Rees was the backup quarterback on that team behind Everett Ghost, of course. So whether it was Brian Kelly or Tommy Rees or a couple of players, this Notre Dame team really loves its offensive line, and rightfully so. Notre Dame is one of 3 finalists joining Alabama and Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken, for the Joe Moore Award that goes to the top offensive unit in college football. And listen to those guys. They feel like we have an offensive line that can go toe-to-toe with Alabama and move these guys, off the football. Tommy Kramer, the fifth-year senior at right guard for Notre Dame, said it himself. He talked about how, they've got to get defense at Alabama, but we've got a solid offensive line. Even though Kyron Williams, the running back for the Irish, that has 1,061 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns, he was held to just 50 yards against Clemson in the ACC title game. But Kyron Williams said, I have not doubted my guys. I trust my guys up front. They're solid. They put a hat in the hat. They move guys off the football. We believe we can run on this Bama team. You got to kill us to stop us. And that's coming from Kyron Williams there and running back for the Irish. So this week, Brian Kelly has made it perfectly clear. They're going to try to play ball control. They're going to try to play keep away from Alabama. They're going to try to all the time of possession and keep that explosive Alabama offense on the sideline as much as they can. Tommy Rees said they like what they have in Ian Book. They like the maturity that he has brought to the table and what he can do in the passing game. But they mentioned he doesn't have to be special. He doesn't have to be heroic. He doesn't have to be explosive, play within our system, do what we're going to design for you to do offensively, and we should be able to come away with this football game. So, Mark, Notre Dame, very, very confident in its offensive line in terms of the run blocking.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we all love. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. Got Stephen M. Smith, touchdownalabama.com, a great source for Alabama sports coverage, football in particular. Stephen, of course, setting us up for Notre Dame on New Year's Day. And my last question is going to be concerning. I know that this our last conversation was following the SEC championship game and the loss of Landon Dickerson, but just want to go over that again in regards to offensive line. Everybody else healthy? How are we looking up front on the Tide side?
Everybody else, Mark, is healthy on the offensive line. And what's intriguing, Mark, is it's everybody is bought into, even though you don't have Landon Dickerson and the job that he's done and the leader he's been. He was voted a permanent team captain for a reason at Alabama's annual awards banquet. He was voted the Iron Man of the team for a reason. All of the accolades that Landon Dickerson has earned, he's earned them for a reason. And though he will not be on the field due to sustaining significant ligament damage to his knee in the SEC title game, this whole team is behind Chris Owens as the backup center, as the next man up. Chris Owens, the redshirt senior from Arlington, Texas, he's played a lot of football in his career at Alabama, whether it's at center, offensive tackle, offensive guard, or at tight end. He's played all over this offensive line. He's got a ton of experience, a wealth of knowledge. And whether it was talking with Nick Saban or Steve Sarkisian, Alex Leatherwood, Mac Jones, even Miller Forrestall, all of these guys in unison said, Chris Owens has got it. We believe in him. We've worked with him all week. He's got the chemistry. He knows what we're trying to do. He is ready to rock and roll. This team 100% sold on Chris Owens can get out here and get this job done running the controls at center.
Stephen M. Smith of touchdownalabama.com, as you can hear, locked in like few others on Alabama football. And before you go, Stephen, I want to make sure everyone knows where they can find you, your various platforms and shows.
Absolutely. They can find me on Twitter at Coaching M. Smith on Twitter. That's at Coaching M. Smith on Twitter. They can find me on Facebook. That's Stephen M. Smith on Facebook. Stephen M. Smith right there. The site is touchdownalabama.com, touchdownalabama.com this week. We have been pumping out the content here as we're throughout the media availability for the Crimson Tide and the Fighting Irish at the Rose Bowl. The show, in my own words, we go every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube. We're actually moving to a new location, so getting some new stuff prepared here for the fans of Tide football. But in my own words, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you can catch us on YouTube, 6 p.m. Central Time, where we break down your Crimson Tide.
Stephen, once again, a belated Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope to reconvene with you next week, sir.
Absolutely. You guys take care, Mark.